Well, welcome to Cover 2 TV. We're here to round up the weekend's news before free agency starts properly in the NFL. The big story, of course, and I'm joined by Steve Hoare, is Richard Sherman. So we'll get straight into that one. Steve, you got some details on the proposed move?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Free agency starts officially as we record. The legal tampering starts today as we record. Obviously, the players can sign on Wednesday. But over the weekend, we've already seen big moves. We've seen cuts, we've seen trades, and obviously, when it was announced last weekend that Richard Sherman was going to be cut by Seattle, so yeah, he signed basically with the San Francisco 49ers, 3 years, $39 million. That doesn't really tell the whole story in that the contract is very incentive driven. There's lots of bonuses. He's banked on himself. Age 29, going to be 30 when the season starts. He's got a torn Achilles. He hasn't got an agent. He went and done negotiating all by himself. He's obviously a very intelligent man. And he's backed on himself. He's banked on himself to go and earn that $39 million over 3 years, which, you know, if Richard Sherman plays at a high level, San Francisco have got themselves a deal. And if he doesn't play well, they can easily get out of it. So for the 49ers, it's a very clever deal. And for Sherman, I think it gives him extra motivations. I think sometimes at the end of your career, you can maybe go and get a payday. Age 29, age 30, he knows that now he's almost got something to drive at. Yeah, he's got something to drive at. So if he just goes through the motions, he gets his $5 million and gets cut. If he plays well, if he makes a Pro Bowl, if he's all pro, I say up to $40 million on the line. I think it's a very clever deal for both sides.
That all-pro thing, I think, is a mad one to have in there because, you know, there's only a couple of people every season that can get to be all-pro. So, again, you know, he's done it, I think, 3 times over the course of his career. Now, this is a guy who, as you started the segment with, has backed himself. You know, you don't put something like that in there, that you're truly incentivising yourself there to be able to say, look, I'm not done yet, you know what I mean? He wasn't ranked as one of the top cornerbacks, last season. But, you know, he had a tough season with Seattle, and Seattle had a tough season themselves. So I think it's a really interesting one. I love the fact that he spoke when he was getting cut from the Seattle Seahawks that he wanted to go somewhere with a quarterback. He's done that. You know, they went 5-0 at the end of the season after going 11-1. I think it was the 49ers to start the season. Obviously, Jimmy G's in there. And he wants to be in a place where he can go and compete. And I think that's what he's done with San Francisco. It also makes that rivalry good again, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great. And what's also clever, he knows that division very, very well. And there aren't many true elite receivers in that division. If you go through the team, so Seattle, it's probably Doug Baldwin, the Falcons.
And is he elite?
And he's good, but he's not one of the best. You know, he's not. The players who give Sherman problems recently have been like Julio Jones, you know, DeAndre Hopkins, the big time players. Doug Baldwin, Larry Fitzgerald is still great, but he's going to be in the slot all the time in Arizona. You look at the Rams, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, there's no one there who's an absolute superstar receiver. They're all good players. And the quarterback situations, obviously he's going to play Russell Wilson, he knows very well. He's got a young Jared Goff who we're not too sure about, and whoever's going to be playing, you know, for the Cardinals. So I think he's got every chance to be successful, providing he's fit. Because at the end of last season, you know, he was playing injured, and you could tell, and he was getting beat on routes that he doesn't get beat on. You know, he was getting out-muscled, which never happens. He's a big physical guy. If he's healthy, like and I keep saying, if the Achilles is fine, he could be really, really good. Then, like I say, he'll only be 30 when the season starts. That isn't old anymore. I don't think 30 is old in the NFL.
Just look at the Vikings, man. We've got a 39-year-old playing, haven't we? You know what I mean? So
he looks like, you know, he's a very intelligent guy. He speaks well. It looks like he looks after himself. He's very lean. He's very fit. If he's healthy, like I say, it's a really good deal. And for San Francisco, it's almost it's a free punt. You know, what absolute worst case is, he's absolute crap and you cut him after the year, and it's probably cost you between 5 and 8 million. And that's well worth a punt for a guy
who Richard Sherman can bring to that defense.
Who's been one, you know, he's an elite level cornerback. There's probably Hall of Fame discussions happening when he retires already. I think deserved. I think he was that good for a long time. He was the best in the league for a while, or one of them. So good deal. And I say San Francisco look like a team that are very much going on the up. Where Seattle look like they're starting to rebuild.
Well, we've seen it happen before, haven't we? You know, we had it. Excuse me. Oh my word, are you kidding me? Seattle's head coach, Pete Carroll. Sorry. We've seen him clear out when he was a college coach, haven't we? And him struggle to rebuild that defence and stuff. Now, I think he's probably right. I agree with that. I think it probably is about time to get rid of some of that, because towards the end, certainly last season, there was too many grumblings coming out from that. And you look over at maybe like the New England Patriots or something like that, where nothing ever seeps out. You could tell that there were reasons that Seattle's D just wasn't performing. So Sherman might have jumped at the right time. Another guy who might have jumped at the right time, former teammate Michael Bennett as well, who's now moved to Philadelphia. Stay 5th round draft pick and backup wide receiver Marcus Johnson, age 32. So Philadelphia just got better again.
Yeah, Michael Bennett's still really good. And it's one of those where his contract isn't ridiculous, like $6 million. It's really, really low. It's less than 6. It's, you know, for the first year, and then again they can get out of it after a year if they want to. They're just building on their strength. Their strength is that defensive line, or one of their strengths they've got. You know, they're almost a very complete roster now, and they're going to lose Vinny Curry his cap hit was $11 million this year, so he's probably going to get cut. He might be cut by the time this goes out, and they just bring Michael Bennett in on a cheaper deal, albeit he's a little bit older. Now some offensive coordinator somewhere and some offensive line coach next year has got to decide to double Michael Bennett or double Fletcher Cox and leave the other one on his own.
Yeah.
I mean,
poison.
You've got, I imagine, listen, you double Fletcher Cox because he's probably one of the best, but then you mean Michael Bennett's getting free runs at guys. He's very versatile, he can go to the edge, he can play inside. Again, the talk was he was a bit of a knobhead, and that's probably one of the reasons they let him go. I'm not sure that'll wash in Philly. I think Philly have got the locker room to, you know, Bennett was one of the leaders of Seattle's locker room, and he's a great player, and he was for so long, and he's one of the reasons they were good. I think if he goes into the Philly locker room, I think he almost has to get in line a bit.
Yeah, you have to bow down to that locker room, because these are like living, breathing things, these locker rooms, aren't they?
And they just look at him and say, listen, mate, Super Bowl ring.
Doesn't work.
By all means, it worked in Seattle, and you guys did that. We do this. What I would say is, Philly allow outspoken players. They let guys, you know, in the media. So Malcolm Jenkins and Chris Long are two examples of guys who do, you know, their social activism and stuff, and that's allowed as long as, you know, in the dressing room, in the team facility, you fall in line. So Bennett, he does all that kind of stuff as well. A lot of it's admirable, but when he comes inside the locker room, he's going to have to, you know, get into shape. And again, for Philly, a 5th round draft pick, their Super Bowl window is now. They're going to go try and go back to back. By all means, they're very capable of doing so. They're getting their quarterback back. They just added Michael Bennett. They're going to be a really, really good team again. Again, his play wasn't.
They're not resting on the laurels, the Eagles, are they? And it's nice to see, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, near the end of the season, he looked like he wasn't as good as he has been, but he's still very, very effective. You know, he's very disruptive inside, and that's the key, I think, in the NFL now. With so many teams playing quick strike offenses, and look at that again. Look at who they're going to be facing in Philadelphia. They're going to be facing a lot of that. So Dak Prescott will either get the ball out quick or he'll hand it to Zeke Elliott. We don't really know what's going on in Washington, but I imagine Alex Smith is going to be. He's not one who wants to sit in the pocket all game. And Eli Manning had the quickest release pretty much of anyone last year for the Giants, because his line was terrible. Bennett could go there and do really well. And listen, it wouldn't be a huge shock if he goes and gets another Super Bowl ring. Yeah,
and that's it, isn't it? And listen, they're making sure that, for me anyway, the Eagles are making sure that they can rotate their line as well. You know, that's the key, isn't it? So when you come into the 59th and 60th minute of ball games, having like a fresh Michael Bennett there, who hasn't maybe played 30, 40, 50 snaps, is the ideal thing.
And Fletcher Cox last year was averaging about 50 a game, and then he gets to the playoffs and he's averaging 90. So they kept him fresh all season, bang, let him go, and we've seen what he does. He's amazing. So yeah, they've got a huge rotation there on that defensive line. Their second string line is as good as a lot of teams' first string lines, and he's just another addition. They're just adding to the strength, and I'm always a fan of when teams do that. If you can, you know, what you don't want is a Fletcher Cox injury and your season's gone. Well, you know, it's not the end of the world if Michael Bennett has to step in for the season.
It's true, isn't it? And okay, well, we've talked about 2 former Super Bowl winners, and now the third one, actually. Akeem Talib has moved from the Denver Broncos to the LA Rams. 5th round pick, age 32, gone to work with his former coach as well. I think this one could be a good move again for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Wade Phillips will be absolutely delighted, and they're going to pair him in the backfield with Marcus Peters.
Yeah, I mean that's
on paper it just looks like amazing. They're letting Tremaine Johnson go, fair enough. I like Tremaine Johnson, but again, he's 32, so is he any good still? He looked alright last year to me. He didn't look like there was any issues. he's going to have a fierce pass rush. Hopefully, the Rams are going to try and get that sorted. He's going to have Aaron Donald pressuring quarterback for the start. I imagine they're going to put Mark Peters on the best wide receiver, so he has to go mark number 2 receivers.
Not a bad option. Not a bad option on your number 2 receiver.
I really like the way he plays. He's very physical. He's on the edge, which is fine. You know, I mean, obviously he steps over it sometimes, which isn't, and he gets himself in trouble. But again, at some stage he's going to slow down. He is still 32, but I've just got a theory with NFL players now is that they're staying healthier, fitter, stronger for longer. Just, you know, science has evolved so much. Like I say, you've got a 39-year-old cornerback making plays for Minnesota. Now, not everyone can do that, but Aqib Talib, to me, doesn't look like he's slowing down that much. I thought last year Denver were terrible, but a lot of that was offensive. You know, the offense just couldn't get nothing going, so teams just ran the ball against them all game. That won't happen. I think you're going to have to throw in the Rams because the Rams score so many points that you're almost getting into shootouts with them every game. And he's more than capable, and like I say, he gives him and Peters on that back end now looks like a really good prospect. It
looks elite, doesn't it? And that's right. And if they're getting pressure from the line, then that probably makes it a little bit even better for the cornerback. So they could end up in some good situations throughout games. And I trust that both Peters and Talib will capitalise.
There's a legitimate argument saying that might be the best corner tandem in the league, and they haven't played a game together yet. But so we'll see how it works out. But on paper, that's as good as pretty much what anyone's got to offer.
Okay. The Browns have made some big waves.
Yeah, the Browns went full Browns.
Hey, this is what they've got to do, isn't it? If at first you don't succeed, try again. So they've gone Jarvis, Landry, Tyrod Taylor and Demarius Randall. Landry is a 2018 4th rounder and 2019 7th round pick. Taylor a 3rd rounder. Randall, Deshaun Kaiser plus Green Bay and Cleveland have swapped places in both the 4th and 5th rounds this season. It's a bit of a mouthful. You might as well break that down a bit slower for us.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry first, then 2 picks. You know, it's a 4th round pick this year and a 2019 7th round, which is almost a throwaway. Basically, Miami's gamble of tagging him and trading him paid off. They haven't lost him for nothing. They've got something for him. Jarvis Landry's a strange one. His production, he catches everything, but it's always for short gains. Is that what you want? Someone's going to be quarterback for the Browns, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or a rookie, or probably a combination of both next year. He's a very good safety blanket, isn't he, if nothing else? You know, put him in the slot, he blocks well, he's a big competitor, he catches everything, his hands are amazing.
I think it's a good move because let's say it's a rookie, let's say it's Tyrod Taylor, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you need to get the ball out your hands quickly, you've bought someone who's not guaranteed, but as close to as you can get for just a safe option quickly to not take a sack or to not take, you know, a loss of yards. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I say, on paper again, they're off the build. So if Josh Gordon stayed, you know, Josh Gordon looked really good when he come back last year, and if he stays on the straight and narrow, which is never a guarantee with him, but if he does, then you add, you know, Jarvis Landry. I like tight end David Njoku. Corey Coleman's been very disappointing, I think, so far, but who knows what he could be if healthy. They're starting to put a little bit of an offense there. They've got a good line on paper again with good players. They're just building something that they look like they want to build where they can just pop a quarterback in and off we go. Again, it's a lot of money for Jarvis Landry, you know, paying him. They're going to have to do a contract with him, otherwise they're going to have to give him $40 million for a year. But again, he's safe. He's very, very safe. He's not explosive. He doesn't really offer you a deep threat. And for that money, you kind of would want a deep threat. But again, if you're building a team, get as many safety blankets as you can around the new guy, and then eventually build from there. So that makes sense. In terms of Tyrod, again, they needed someone. Where they obviously weren't completely happy. They've let AJ McCarron go. They've traded Deshaun Kaiser away now. I imagine it'll be a case of Taylor starts the season, while whatever rookie they decide to draft just beds in. Which is fine. Tyrod Taylor's a good option to be a bridge quarterback. I don't rate him that highly, but I think he leaves a lot of plays on the field.
And to be fair, he's better than what they had. So
yeah, absolutely.
And he's one of those where if everything else is breaking down, he can still make something happen as well. Yeah. So I like the fact that they've kind of gone with this sort of not just a pocket passer in case everything else isn't quite right. He will be able to make some plays and gain some yards.
Yeah, and listen, his incentive is to go there and do what Case Keenum did. Yeah. You know, keep the young guys out and get yourself a big money contract down the line if you need it. And by all means, stick. If he plays well, the job's his. There's no rush to bring said rookie in. If he does his job right, he can stay there.
What's doing his job right? Winning 2 games in a season?
Yeah, I don't know, whatever your job is for the Browns.
What is it like?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think, don't turn the ball over. And that's what he is very, very good. At times it's to a fault when he doesn't take that gamble, he doesn't take that chance you want him to take. But the Browns last year, how many times did Kaiser, and we'll come to him in a minute, get in the red zone and just chuck it away, or something went wrong, or they done it against the Packers. They were about to beat Green Bay, and then he kind of made a horrendous choice and threw the game away. So Tyrod won't do that. He is very, very safe. So good. They needed a bridge quarterback for whoever their next guy is going to be. It wasn't so they couldn't. They decided not to go for AJ McCarron, even though they went for him before. Which Browns. I mean, it's just it makes sense of that. Taylor's a very good option, I think, and we saw last year, even when he got benched for Nate Peterman, he took it like a pro.
Yeah, he did.
He spoke well. He helped the kid out by all accounts. When he's having a meltdown, he's in the huddle helping him. He comes in and kind of helps solidify it. So he's a good teammate, which again is crucial if he's going to have to teach someone. It makes that a good move. It makes sense. Demarius Randall's crap. See, have lived that life. He started getting a bit better at the end of the season. He made a few interceptions. He looked better, but ultimately, as a first-round pick for Green Bay, he's been a disappointment. So he's a reclamation project for the Browns. Can they get something out of him? I don't know, to be honest. Again, at the end of last year, he started getting a lot of interceptions, but a lot of them where they kind of just fell to him. They were tip passes or someone just threw it right towards him, which, you still got to catch it, you've still got to run it back. For me, for Green Bay, he was a very much a disappointment, so I'm not surprised.
What about Kaiser going to Green Bay? What do you feel about that?
Brett Hundley's he was finished, he was awful, he had to go. So I liked Kaiser coming out the draft. I had him as my highest ranked quarterback in that draft class, which looks a bit silly now because Deshaun Watson's amazing, but at that time I thought he was good. That was a horrendous situation for him to go to Cleveland. Hugh Jackson didn't really trust him. He kept benching him after a mistake, which I think is poor for you play a rookie quarterback, you know what you're going to get.
You're going to get mistakes.
You're going to get some issues. Even Deshaun Watson throws it to the team sometimes. Now Kaiser wasn't at that level, but he made some plays. Do
you think he's one where Green Bay have got a little bit of faith in him that they can turn him around?
Yeah, so he's going to be the backup, isn't he? Mike McCarthy spoke about Brett Hundley and said he was disappointed that he didn't feel he was ready. So his job is to be ready when Aaron Rodgers goes down, and he didn't think he was in terms of the playbook, in terms of the play designs, in terms of just everything about his game looked off. He looked scared to throw at times. I said to you, he was a sack waiting to happen. So what you need to do now, if you're Deshaun Kaiser, you get a second chance to go and learn off the best or second best at worst quarterback in the league, one of the best of all time. Go and sit behind him, watch what he does, how he prepares, how he does everything. And in a couple of years' time,
you never know.
You never know where you might be. It could be a case where you go somewhere else and get a big money contract and someone else fancies you because you play well in pre-season, you play well in spots. He's only a young kid. Kaiser was very young when he come out, so he can't be worse than Hundley. So I'm all for it. Let's give it a go. I'm gonna make
a prediction here that in 3 years' time, maybe 4 years' time, Deshaun Kaiser is playing as a starting quarterback for someone. NFL.
He's got the talent. He's definitely got the talent to talk, the attitude stuff.
It's a great move for him. I think he will have been absolutely made up because there's one thing coming out and being a rookie and being a leader straight away. And we've seen Peyton Manning was one of these guys, and obviously a lot closer to home or a lot closer to now, Carson Wentz and stuff like that. But if you have that rocky start to your career, like you've just said, Steve, going and learning off Aaron Rodgers and seeing how he prepares, you're not driving that quarterback room anymore.
Yeah.
You're second in command clearly, and somebody else is leading the way. And at this development stage of his career, that's probably the best thing for him because however much talent you think he had, he wasn't a leader. I don't think you could say that, and that's what he needs to learn as well.
Go and press the reset button.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers sat for a few years. We've seen that. Go and sit behind someone who knows what it's like to sit behind the Hall of Fame quarterback. You're going to be in the exact same position. Earn your stripes. If you play well, you get the second contract, whether it's in Green Bay or somewhere else pays you. And then, Aaron Rodgers who knows how long he wants to play. He's in his 30s now. It might be 5 years, it might be 2 years. It's up to him. He's got all the money. He's about to get another massive contract. It could be his last. Your options there. Go and sit by him, learn everything you can. Be a sponge. Green Bay have got a history of developing backup quarterbacks quite well. It went poorly last year, but for a while they did.
Well, no, I think The idea with Huntley was still what Green Bay have always tried to do, isn't it?
Bring the next guy through.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the fact is he never hit the level, and you know, if Mike McCarthy's saying he wasn't ready, well, he should have been ready, and that's on Huntley, and that's why he's not being kept on, basically.
I agree, mate. And I think it's a good pick. I like Cars. I think he's very talented. He needs to learn how to be a quarterback, and we're better to do that.
Okay, yeah, nowhere, unless maybe the Patriots.
But even then, if you go to New England, the guy's looking over his shoulder because he's 40, so he's thinking you don't get Garoppolo situation because Cars is not as good, but he was a second round pick for a reason. He's talented. He knows he's a backup here for a long time. In New England, Brady could retire next week.
Yeah, he could do. Okay, well, some quick hits then. Linebacker Alec Ogletree has moved from the Rams to the Giants for a 4th and 6th round pick. Age 26, wow.
Yeah, apparently Giants have needed linebackers forever. The Rams give him a horrendous contract that they had to get out of. It was a bad move to that linebacker, so win-win. Giants, how long have they needed linebackers? They've needed linebackers since I can remember. That defense was... It's got talented players, it just didn't play well last year. Hopefully a new locker room, new situation and a new head coach, more because Ben McAdoo might go down as one of the worst of all time. Makes sense for both teams, I think. Okay,
Super Bowl winner Torrey Smith moved from the Eagles to the Carolina Panthers for cornerback Darryl Worley, who's 29 years old. And Smith was quite vocal on social media, wasn't he, over the last couple of days? And I saw an Instagram post that he put out where he just thanked everybody in Philadelphia. It was along the lines of, we did this together, we'll always have this. He's taken it really well, and I think he knew when he went to the Eagles what he was going to get from them. He wasn't going to get a 10-year career out of the Eagles and stuff, so he's accepting of it, and he'll move on now to the Panthers, and listen, it's a place where he could succeed as well.
Yeah, so
he had a poor season, didn't he? But he had a great post-season.
Yeah, well, the thing with Torrey Smith is, even when he doesn't affect the play, he affects the play, because he runs deep. That's what he does. He's not nothing else. He's not a particularly great route runner. I don't think he's a particularly brilliant blocker, but he's dead fast in a straight line, and someone's got to account for that. And in Carolina, they had Ted Ginn 2 years ago and got to a Super Bowl with that. And last year, they didn't really have much of that. So he'll just go and play the Ted Ginn role in Carolina.
And he's a big buggy guy as well, which the quarterback there likes.
He'll go and... Listen, Cam Newton's not afraid to launch it. So he'll be on the end of a lot of deep... his season might be like 10 catches or a game. He could get like 1-2 catches a game, but he's got like 90 yards because he's got just 2 big deep balls from Cam. I think that, again, that's one that makes sense. Worley played well in spots for Carolina, but was never brilliant. He just adds to the Eagles' depth. That's just a case of, I think, getting someone you were probably going to get cut anyway. I think the emergence of Aguilar last season surprised a lot of people because he looked like he was a bust. He's played well, so why do you need to keep Torrey Smith? You might as well get a little bit younger. So again, that's one that makes sense for everyone. Yeah, and finally, defensive tackle Danny Shelton's gone from the Browns to New England. In return, the Browns will receive a 3rd round pick in the 2019 draft, and Cleveland will send a 2018 5th rounder to New England. Yeah, Danny Shelton was a mid-1st round pick, and he's really good. I'm not sure what the Browns are thinking here. New England needed a defensive tackle. I think, again, he'll just slot in next to Malcolm Brown, I presume. He's very good against the run. I'm not sure how good he is in terms of creating massive pressure down the middle, but... Which was the thing that they probably missed last season. New England are very good at taking previously, he's a 1st round talent for a reason. New England, again, he's another reclamation project. It wouldn't be a surprise if he goes there and lights it up. As there's defensive tackles in his mould aren't particularly ever flashy at what they do, but he's a big guy in the middle, and he does defend the run really well. And again, he's only a young kid. He's going to the best defensive coach of all time. Again, makes sense. I'm not sure why the Browns let him go, unless it's a salary thing, or they just... I know they're changing scheme up a little bit there, but it's another 1st round pick that Cleveland have just wasted. Yeah, it's absolutely... He'll go to New England and be a Pro Bowler. Yeah, he probably will. Well, so there you go. That's been the news from this week, and we'll be back later on in the week, hopefully with Jeno, to discuss all the moves around free agency. That's it from me. That's it from Steve. We'll see you next time on Cover 2 TV.